Hey guys, it's Mr. Schmidt here, and in this video we're going to look at two other kinds of elasticity of demand. So far we've looked at price elasticity of demand, which looks at how sensitive is quantity demanded of a good, how responsive is that to a change in the price of the good. Well, there's two other kinds of elasticity of demand that I want to look at. So the first one is called the cross price elasticity of demand. And so what this elasticity allows us to do is it measures, it's kind of a long definition here, it measures how sensitive quantity demand of one good is to a change delta in the price of another good. And so if this sounds a bit familiar, this is because this is going to help us decide if two goods are subs or comps in consumption. Now, there is a cross-price elasticity of supply, but that is not something we need to look at in this course. So, cross-price elasticity of demand is used to tell us if two goods are substitutes or complements in consumption, which is really useful because up to this point, I basically just had to tell you, hey, these two goods are substitutes, these two goods are complements. But how do we know for sure? And the way we do that is by using a formula, just like we did with the price elasticity of demand. And depending on what that formula spits out is going to tell us if the two goods are subs or comps. So let's look at that formula. So the formula for the cross-price elasticity of demand is the percent change in the, percent change in the quantity demanded of good A divided by the percent change in price of good B. Okay? So percent change in price of good B is on the bottom, percent change in quantity demanded of good A is on the top. And then that's going to spit out some number, some coefficient. Now, here's the deal. Notice that we're not doing absolute value here. And the reason is incredibly important because it's the sign of the coefficient that tells us if they're complements or substitutes. So if the coefficient is positive, then the two goods are substitutes. If the coefficient is negative, then the two goods are complements. Okay? The number itself, say it's a 3, tells us how strong the relationship is. How strong are they of complements or substitutes? So the greater the number, the more closely they're related as either substitutes or complements. But again, do not do absolute value here, because if you do, everything's going to be substitutes, when in reality, some of them may very well be complements. Okay? So that's the cross-price elasticity of demand. It allows us to determine whether two goods are complements or substitutes. And again, with the percent change here, I'm not listing out the long way of doing this formula, but you can do it the same way you did price elasticity of demand. So QD2 minus QD1 divided by QD1 over P2 minus P1 divided by P1. So the percent change is the same here. It's just we're looking at good A and good B as opposed to just one particular good. So that's the cross-price elasticity of demand. The other one that I want to look at in this video is the income elasticity of demand. And I'm sure you can kind of guess where we're going with this one. So this measures, sorry, that's an R, how sensitive quantity demanded is to a change in income. In other words, as my income increases or decreases, how is that affecting my quantity demanded? By how much, right? We know it's going to increase or decrease depending upon if it's a normal or inferior good, but by how much? And the reality is, this is very useful for determining if something is a normal or inferior good. So the formula is the percent change in quantity demanded over the percent change in income. And so when we do this formula, notice we don't do absolute value here because, again, just like with cross price, the sign of the coefficient, the number that pops out, is going to tell us if they're normal or inferior goods. So with that in mind, if the coefficient is positive, then it is a normal good. If the coefficient is negative, then it's an inferior good. So, and again, same thing with percent change, QD2 minus QD1 over QD1 divided by income 2 minus income 1 divided by income 1. So same process here. If you notice in all of these formulas for elasticity, quantity's always on top. Quantity demanded or quantity supply, as we're going to see in the next video, is always on top. And then whatever we need other than quantity is on the bottom. Okay? In two of the formulas it's price, in this one it happens to be income. So with these formulas, I encourage you just to practice with them, and particularly knowing how to interpret what you get here, right? With price elasticity of demand, we're looking at is demand elastic, inelastic, uninelastic, perfectly inelastic. With cross price, are they complements or substitutes in consumption? And then with income elasticity of demand, are they normal or inferior goods? So just practice with using those formulas and you should be fine. So that's all for this video on other elasticities. Until next time, have a great day.